I'm a first timer and wanted to say I love you and thank you. And Abraham, I love all of you. And I'm so grateful for your teachings and for the incredible energy I feel and positivity I feel when I use them, when I'm in the vortex.
When you come into the whole of who you are.
Yes.
When you come into the whole of who you are.
Yes. Those teachings and those feelings brought me almost everything I've ever asked for in life. If you look at what I wrote down a few years ago when I started the teachings, almost everything is there. Suddenly, I'm living in Spain with the most amazing girl I ever imagined, and all of that just happened. It just manifested in this extraordinary, literally an explosion of energy.
Say it slightly different. And I allowed all of that through my understanding of the way the laws of the universe work. I tended to my vibration, kept my eyes open, and witnessed right before my eyes the receiving of what was formerly an idea in my vortex.
Exactly.
Yeah. And there are no limits for me.
Even more beautiful than seeing it is feeling it.
Yes.
The feelings that come up when I'm receiving are
well, you
extraordinary.
See, when you come into resonance with your source, you feel what your source feels. You're seeing with your human eyes, but you're feeling with the whole of who you are. Yeah.
Rather than ask a question about something negative, I want to play with the idea of my experience.
Well, that's good, because if you ask about something negative, then it amplifies that, and that gathers more momentum. So when you talk about what you want, that gathers momentum. It's a more productive use of time, isn't it?
Yes. So what I want is for the relationship to be amazing. Ever since I was a kid, I've had this dream, this passion to have the most amazing relationship. And
talking about a personal relationship?
Yes.
With another person?
With another person, with my girlfriend. And,
yes.
In the future, I wanted to have that amazing one-on-one relationship with my wife that would be forever. And
the thing that trips you up about that, we talked about this some yesterday and not as much today. And of course, there's no reason that cannot be. We're not trying to discourage you from desiring that. We just want to point out that all of your power is right now. And that when you get too far down the road about something, you see, where your power, hear this, where your power comes from, what your power is, the evidence of your power happening in the moment is the resonance that you feel with your source. When you hook up with your inner being and in that alignment you focus, that is power. And that convergence is all happening in your now. If you get too far down the road about it, then you lose that power, because the source within you is so now focused. We came across this word earlier today, and we want to go back to it so that you can feel the wholeness of it and the power of it and feel the feeling of it, the emotion behind it. And that word is convergence. The convergence. And so we often say to you, tuned in, tapped in, turned on. Tuned in, tapped in, turned on. That is convergence. That's convergence with your power. And that convergence happens now. It happens now. You don't have the ability to converge yesterday. And you really don't have the ability to converge tomorrow. You only have the ability to converge now, which means find resonance with a subject with your inner being. Think about it the way your inner being thinks about it. And what you're going to notice is that your inner being is not very interested in looking into the past, in dissecting the past, because when humans do that, they're almost always looking for justification about something, and so you lose your connection with your inner being right away. Your inner being doesn't look forward. Now hear this. Oh. We are so eager to say this to you. We can hardly wait to say it. It's going to take a slight preface so that you'll understand it fully. But when we say to you, what you've been doing is you've been sifting through the contrast of life and throwing your rockets of desire into your vortex, and your vortex becomes a now reality in which your inner being stands. Your inner being stands in now. But that now that your inner being stands in feels to you like future, because you don't want to call it now until it manifests. Ooh, you get where we're going, don't you? So your inner being is not looking back. Your inner being doesn't really even want to look back as far as what you call now. Your inner being is standing in the now of the vibrational reality and calling you to it. And when you go, then you feel that resonance. You feel confidence, you feel security, you feel love, you feel passion. But if you're standing in an insecure now, trying to see your future, your insecure now won't let you see your future. Can you feel what we're talking about here? So an understanding of where your inner being is. So where is your inner being? Your inner being is consciousness. Your inner being is focused consciousness. And what is the subject that your inner being is focused consciousness upon? Your vortex. And what does your vortex feel like to you? Your future. But what is it really? Your now. It's your now. All of your power is in the now. So as you find ways to think about things like your inner being thinks about things, then you are in perfect receiving mode to where your inner being is. And then and only then can your now become your manifested now. You hear that? Because we are loud. That is the most leading edge conversation that we've ever had about turning thoughts to things. And it also explains convergence in a way that is significant. And it also explains why sometimes when you think into your future, you get feeling all insecure because you're not seeing your vortex as your inner being sees it, as an already done deal. As you stand in your now without something that you want, and then you try to improve your future from that position, you can't get there because you're on a different vibrational wavelength. That was a really deep understanding. Really a deep understanding. Esther had a sort of startling revelation not very long ago where she was grouchy about something that had happened, and the more she thought about it, the grouchier she was. And then other thoughts off the subject, but same sort of vibrational core, began coming into her mind. She began remembering everything like that had ever happened to her. So she was building a bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger case about it. And then it was like the whole world. It was like a conspiracy to make her life miserable. And it had all started with just one little thing that she sat and just mulled over, mused over, moaned over, complained over for not that long. So then she decided, well, if there's anyone on the planet who should clean up their act, it ought to be me. So she isolated herself away from all of those who were glad to see her go. She'd been riding around on her broom all morning. And she went to clear her mind, to meditate, to find relief from the self-imposed tension that had started with her knee-jerk reaction to an uncontrollable circumstance. Trying to control the uncontrollable will get you every time, won't it? So she sat to meditate, and she reached for a thought that often gives her a feeling of ease and comfort right away. She thought about ease and flow. She just focused upon the words ease and flow. But you got to understand, she had a pretty good current going over here. She'd been on it for a while, quite a while, well over an hour. So her attempt to find ease and flow, she held it for a moment, and then right back there she'd go. And then right in the middle of her meditation, she would realize, I'm complaining in the middle of meditation. What's up with that? So then she reached back for ease and flow. She reached back and just for a moment caught a little tail of it, and then before she knew it, she was complaining in her mind again. So now she's extra mad at herself, which always helps a great deal. So now she's thinking, I certainly can find the thought of ease and flow. And she thought about being out on the highways. She loves that. She loves getting behind the wheel of just about any vehicle. They move around in a monster bus. And she thought about the feeling of elation that she often feels as she moves down these wonderful highways with so much beauty surrounding her. And she caught hold of the feeling of ease and flow. And then she milked it. She stayed there just a little bit and thought about why it feels so good, and for a moment loved the landscape and loved the highways and loved her vehicle and loved her life. And she managed to focus enough that she found the dominant resonance with who she is. And then an amazing thing happened. While it had been hard for her to find it at first, now an avalanche of pleasing, wonderful thoughts began to flood her mind. No effort at all. In fact, it would have been harder for her to get back where she started now that she had clicked in to the vibration of who she really is. And then she sat with the most rapturous goosebumps moving through her body as she reunited and felt the relief of moving from outside the vortex in, and then reveling in the raising and the raising and the raising of vibration. And we said to her, now that she was there and now that she could hear us, we said, Esther, milk this. Practice this vibration of being in the vortex. Practice this vibration of being in the vortex. Make this your dominant vibration. Practice this vibration. This is who you are. This is how you are to feel. This is who you be. This is home for you. This is life for you. This is where you belong. And she sat there radiant, glowing to the universe. And then we said, now reach back to that problem and bring it in here with you and have a look at it from in here. And Esther said, don't make me do it. The bliss inside the vortex is so sublime. Won't I run the risk of the vortex spitting me out? We said, of course you'll run the risk of the vortex spitting you out, but so what? You know how to get back in. You got to be out there where things are happening in order to know what you want. Of course, there's no risk. Just bring it in and have a look at it. So she brought it in, thought about it, chewed on it for a minute. The vortex spit her right out. It was still in that raw and ragged place, and her attention to it caused her to not be able to stay in alignment with who she was. But the next time, still sitting there, that she went to get in the vortex, she went right in. In other words, she just ignored it for a moment, thought about ease and flow, remembered how good she'd been feeling just a moment ago, went right back in. And we said, now, go get it again. So Esther brought the subject into her mind, but it had shifted. She began to feel different. We said, Esther, make peace with the rascals, make peace with the problems, because the whole time they're coming into focus, the solution is too. You can't be all that you feel over here in this wondrous vortex of creation if it weren't for the other side of that giving you reason to bring that into focus. Are you getting this? Do you see how the life you live brings your expansion into focus? And the only reason when we say, are you appreciating the contrast of your time and place, that any of you would say, no, not really, is when you're standing outside the vortex. We're eager to talk with you about anything that is important to you. It is our desire to convey to you the value of who you are. We want to lure you into the vortex. There is nothing that is off limits. Anything that you want to talk about, we are eager to address with you. You will notice a perfect unfolding here today, because after all, this gathering has vibrationally already assembled in this vortex of creation before you dragged your physical bodies into this theater. What do you want to talk about? You are ready. Some things. It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful day. Begin right here. Stand if you think it's you. You are the one.